behalf of the Kunie Foundation and our Executive Director, Damilola Oyewosi, I am delighted to welcome you to this private screening of Echoes from the Shadows.
This movie reminded me of a lot of things, a whole lot. First, I don't think I am science inclined, but I was pushed into go and study medicine. So looking at Adolisa, I'm seeing myself then between what I am passionate about and what my parents feel is better for me, and will bring them out, as a mama doctor or mama father or mama nurse and all whatnot. It wasn't a slum issue, but it was also a career path issue for me in my days. And so for the young girls in Enugu Peak, in the slums, I don't know what Kunie Foundation intends to do, but I will only chip in. I am hoping that Kunie Foundation could have their presence in that slum. Growing up, we used to have guidance and counselors in secondary schools who would, when you're having these challenges, you notice that Dolisa's mother, the teacher called her. Then, my guidance and counselor will invite the parents of the school and talk some sense into them. If by the time they are done talking with her, she would have gone home and found 7,500 to give Ada those art supplies. But that phone thing, only will give no defense to the detriment of the young girl. So if Kunie Foundation can also think towards having a presence in these slums, somewhere that the child, the girl child, the boy child, everybody, because it's not just about the girl, it's just about the boy child. If the boy child is not well trained, he becomes the perpetrator who victimizes the girl child. So that cycle continues. So that presence, where they know that in the morning, Nahama Kwamo to be independently out, to come and speak to someone who can guide them, on how to straighten their paths. That could be nice, and I will be, whatever I can do to support that. As for the water part, I don't know how you people will, let us see this. I don't know where the water thing comes in here. Like I told you, they're supposed to be, and that's why that meeting is happening tomorrow, and that's why I tried my best to be here now. So I hope to get a feedback on what exactly we intend to do for the child in Iva Valley slum as it concerns water, so that we can start approaching it from that side. So my long and short of it all is in presence in that slum for them, so that they can always have someone to want to speak to, and get direction without erring. Someone that can also be a bridge between Mama Adolisa and Adolisa. Because people now make up a cold treatment, and the next thing you see is that Adolisa is already thinking about Obina and and then Obina is being mentored by Hama. You can tell what that means in the nearest future. So that is my plea and my contribution for now. Thank you.
Government should be held accountable for all the taxes they collect. They should be held accountable for how they spend our money. Government should be held accountable for how they utilize our shared and collective resources. That is the responsibility of all of us seated here who represent one institution or the other. So we should hold government accountable. The primary responsibility is to protect life and society. Also for radio, at least we saw that radio is promoting herbal medicine that is not verified, whether the effectiveness is good or not. So for the people who are working with radio, let's be more informed. I think China has led the way to tell us that influencers should not be influencing what they are not informed about. And radio should not influence and share information about unverified herbal or treatment regimen that are not effective. We have also seen that we lack social support mechanisms in our society. We do not have those kind of households that are in need of cash transfer. Let them eat first. When they eat and satisfy according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basic needs, they can be able to now think properly about the next thing that they want to do with their lives. I remember Mark Zuckerberg was saying that when he went back to Harvard, and he was telling people that the reason why he was able to pursue Facebook was because he knew that if Facebook had failed, he had something else to fall back on. Many of us will have nothing to fall back on if the dreams that we have fail. And I won't blame the mother. She's telling the child out of experience what works. This is what is going to work. Do not say go abroad and you make money. We are not sure. How many artists do we know in Enugu State that are doing well? So before you pursue passion, you must be able to first of all address basic needs. That's very critical.
I can tell you from the perspective of Nigerian Correctional Service Corps, from uniform, there's age where a child will reach. The authority of the environment, we expect the parents to send the child out of that environment, the barracks. If you've gone to military barracks, if a child is up to 18 years, anything on top, the child should leave the environment. So that's why you now see orderliness in such an environment. But this kind of environment is a free environment where we have genius, we have talents that need to be harvested. Poverty is affecting the environment. A lot of situations affect the kids, not only the peer pressure. The environment affects the kids. Before you talk about the peer pressure, it comes from the family. Then the peer pressure, the environment. They have dreams, but I can remember when we were attended, there are times kids can be sent to their aunt's or uncle's place. Why they do that is that in those old days there is communal relationship between parents, siblings, but these days we are living alone. So such makes some of us, we can migrate from Asada, where I was born, to Okwi towards 6th Avenue to stay with one of our brothers or one of our uncles, or from there move to another place. We now see life in other perspective. But solely staying in a particular environment makes a child to be as if the child is restricted or limited to a particular ideology. So, with what I saw, there are a lot of things affecting those children there. One, the environment is not well governed. It has no order. So it's a free environment where we can have a lot of talents. One, some children there, their parents are not in order. They are having issues. They are not correlating, trying to plan their children. These days, people are thinking of how the children can be this, that. There was a time people were saying it's only talent. Why can't you go and be engineer? But these days, some of those who are very talented are the ones shaping the world.
For some people, poverty hinders them, and some other people, poverty is the motivation for them to do, depending on the atmosphere you find yourself in. And the last one that really touched me is the relationship between poverty and the availability or the non-availability of Medicare. I remember a conference where people were talking about out of the pocket spending for Medicare. It was a Reverend Ambassador Odunze. He said something I'll never forget. That a lot of people resort to, I mean, that's not to say that God cannot heal you. A lot of people resort to prayer because they cannot afford Medicare. And it was clearly illustrated in the movie. People die of preventable diseases. People die of curable diseases simply because they don't have the wherewithal to foot the bill. So, and then you see children who are supposed to be taken care of, being the one taking care of the parents. So I saw that poverty can accelerate the growth of the child, but negatively, and it's terrible. You see people hawking, you see children doing things they should not be doing when they should be going to school. So, and on the last note, I want to commend Kunie Foundation for this. And in my capacity as King of Solid FM and Chairman Enugu OAPs, whatever we can do to change that narrative, we will do it going forward. Thank you.
The movie is an emotional one, but it still brought out the impact of the home in child development. There are some factors beyond our control that are out of our control. But what we do as parents and as a home, being the immediate environment of every child is what matters. If you notice, there are a lot of toxicity, there are a lot of name calling, a lot of bullying, there are a lot of child shaming. Yes, they are already in the environment and there's not much they could do. But I believe that a healthy family could also help build the child's esteem and confidence. So I don't blame the parents because from what I've observed, they're only parenting from what they know. They're just transferring the experience they have to their children. For instance, today I counseled 3 young ladies in the office. The same issue of the home. 3 ladies having issues with their fathers. Family separated, disarrayed, a lot of issues. I just received a call for an intervention. Again, family issue. This one is now an emergency case, which is barely just childhood trauma, but the lady has been agitated, chained against her wish, and she's now, losing it. There's a place for counseling, there's a place for therapy, there's a place for mental health support. So I am canvassing for more awareness, more education, especially on parenting. Because it starts from parents. Even if the school or the church gets it right, once they get home and the home is not finding what the school and the church is doing, it's like writing with one hand and deleting with the other hand. So we need more awareness campaign on parenting, meeting these parents, educating them on healthy parenting, especially when it comes to affecting children's esteem. Thank you.
The poor is struggling with food, struggling with shelter, struggling with the basic human needs, and then they fall sick on top of it. And while they are listening to radio, here we are telling them that some concoction in a bottle is going to cure liver disease, kidney disease, heart problem, brain tumor, all of it. So I think I was just calculating in my head, are we part of the problem as the media? Are we part of the problem? And I began to understand why each time we played the herbal adverts on radio, there's always this letter coming from the National Broadcasting Commission. You failed this, you failed that, you did this, you did that. And I used to wonder, like, you guys, let us be now, right? But looking at that woman, I'm pretty sure that woman is going to die. Not because of what is wrong with her, but because of what she's taking. And because of the dose at which she's taking. A lot of the herbal medicines do not have dose. It's not that the herbal medicines are bad. It is the dose. For example, you could take paracetamol could help you, but taking 6 tablets or 8 tablets of paracetamol is going to end up killing the person, right? So it's not the herbal medicine, it's the dosage. But not just the dosage, it is the people who drum it in your ears at every minute that this drug is going to cure your illness. So it made me, I began to wonder, should we or should we not take those advice? because I understand that your life moves in the direction of what you hear consistently. So even when you do not want to get into the herbal medicine part, but constantly hearing this makes you tell yourself, okay, fine, let me try it. That's one thing. But in radio, we are in here for business. I don't run an NGO. I run a business, and it's profit and loss either way. And you have someone who's paying you, for example, $1 million a month for you to carry their short health, herbal, whatever. And I have a staff to pay. So now I'm caught in between this thing I'm playing. Even me will not take it. But I also have people who come to work, who have families, whose families and cousins and aunties live in these slums, who need to send money home. So it's like a very vicious cycle for some of us in the radio. Right now, I promise you, I do not know what to do or which parts to follow. The money part, because listen, I put in a lot of money. The other parts, knowing that some people are going to hear this from your radio, believe it after the 10th or 15th time, and then put in their money to something that's going to kill them. For me, I would never take any of those about. And nobody I know who's close to me will ever take those about. But yet I play it on my station. So it looks like the rich are still oppressing the poor. Because if I get sick, I'll go to the hospital. But I'm telling the poor that they should take this one, right? So it's, I think it's a conversation we are not willing as media practitioners. It's a conversation that we're not willing to have. Because last me that is working, I need to get paid. All right, so, but watching this broke my heart in different places, just making me feel like I am part of the problem. Making me feel like I am part of the issues that these ones are having. But one thing I can guarantee is that we are going to begin to hold conversations where it matters.
I was born in that community. I left the community when I was 6 years. I know everything about the community. I know that such people exist in that community. This field is, for me, is of three parts. One is family. Family in the sense that parents has a great influence in the future of their children. Because when you have uneducated parents, sometimes it may deter you, or some parents that are not exposed, you may deter the extent the child will go. 2 is poverty. And 3 is the environment. And the environment has a great influence in the future of a child. Like you can watch, Lobina was influenced by one bad guy in that community. Because I believe children, they learn from what they see, and they learn from what they hear. So, if not properly shaped, such children may not attain to the height they want to attain or they dream of, because they don't have somebody who will motivate them, who will encourage them, who will be like a role model to push them up. Again, it still boils down to government, the kind of government we have. And there's some critical sectors government should not leave to the hands of private individuals, like education and health, especially in this third world country, where Nigeria has one of the highest number of poor people in the entire world. Government have to come in to provide basic infrastructure in those communities.
I think we need to tell successful stories of more creatives, people into so many topics that people apart from nurses, lawyers, and doctors. Then, in the part where we can be able to help, in those slums, I can say that I position myself as a kind of a living example to most of the youths there. That we from these areas, no, I said it. We from these areas can actually be a light in so many areas. For example, in fact, I would say me and Nehani from CFM, we share the same community. We all live in the same community.
Yeah.
And every program we are doing, all programs we did, we went back to that community. All programs. We did the school outreach last year, yeah, right? And we went back to that community. When we were doing SBMC, explain for listing, we went back to that community. We give out free school bags and all that. Every year we go back. Every slightest opportunity we get outside, and we come back to that community to tell them, I need none of the fee here. We need to be encouraged. Most of them that work with me, they also see what I do, and I share my life experiences of them because that's the most I can do. Because these guys, I can't do much when it comes to their parents, but I can do much now because very soon they will become parents too. And I need them to change their mindset so that they'll be able to help their own children. So I think that's where we need to come in. We should get close to these guys, make them our friends, and begin to let them see how we're able to make changes in our own personal life and how we're able to attain that same height. Thank you.
Eventually, just like some of my colleagues here mentioned, that it stirred up certain kind of emotion, yes. Because I've been to Iva Valley on the fact-finding mission around water availability and of course their sanitation. And at Iva Valley, there's a lot to be done. I agree with Lepas talking about holding government accountable. Because the bulk of what's going on at Iva Valley, as well as other slums around Enugu, cannot be solved by the combination of all of the NGOs put together. We're talking about substance and drug abuse. We're talking about teenage pregnancy. Name them. There are a variety of, a gamut of issues, social vices. And for we to tackle this, we need to also deliberately bring the attention of government to them to say, are you aware of this scenario? See, one thing I am afraid may happen tomorrow, which is not the way to go, is coming to give everybody their quick notice and say, we want to develop this place, turn it to one wonderland. It will be wrong. It will be wrong, and that's what I see coming. It will be wrong. You've not solved any part of that problem. Any part, and I repeat. And if that happens, I give you an instance. Movement from the rural community or far to reach areas of any society. Do not take one to, go through an examination. All the person needs is X amount of money to come to Gariki or any metropolis. And he or she is coming in with the orientation they have over there. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. It's not like you want to go into a suit. You need to take post-UNE and all of those to kind of fine-tune you or screen you, sort of. So if you say you are destroying that area because you want to convert it to another wonderland, where are they going to?
No relocation.
They will now find their way in between our uncompleted apartments and all of that, still carrying what they are carrying elsewhere. This is long overdue. Iva Valley would be a point of contact as we speak. He mentioned Ababa. When I got to where he was mentioning, leading my colleague Kenneth, I was stunned. And again, Deacon mentioned that the distance between the metropolitan areas of the state and where these things are happening. That's also to tell you how, not too far, things that are getting bad are from where we are. And some of these instances can even happen within our own neighborhood. And so we just need to find a sustainable way to solve these problems. Because if we do sympathy, money will be spent and those resources will not be. But let's find another means to do this. My advocacy would be, dear Enugu State government, do not destroy Iva Valley, but to recreate Iva Valley. Thank you very much.
As someone that has worked in Iva Valley and somehow still working there, and other slums and rural communities, those of us in the CSO, hearing from the past, hearing from you, it's the same story. CSOs have limited capacity, very limited. They are limited to different factors, not just funding, but also their mission, their program, intervention areas. So the NGO we probably saw, maybe their mandate is just to go and do outreach. And maybe they also had the intention of helping the family, but they couldn't. Maybe they didn't find another NGO that could support and then they put it back. I experienced such things. And sometimes it ends up in your kind of situation, his kind of situation. They become personal, interventions and programs. I do my own personal fundraising for some of these things when I cannot afford to help. And Lepers has said, you can't do much without the government being there. Last year, I led the food bank initiative to the community, and we were doing surveys, asking families, their different issues, and also trying to find out how exactly we can help them. Yes, our own program has to do with food provision, food security, and all that. But in every community, this becomes a multi-dimensional problem. As you're trying to solve one, you're finding out that it's hydra-headed. So it's education, it's health, it's this, it's that, which is fine that different sectors are represented here and everyone can plug in. But Iva Valley is a case study. Like you were saying, there are several slums and they are very close to us. When we are doing that program, I brought another organization, we collaborated, and the funny thing is that the team lead of that organization is from that sort of like that community. She's from Enugu. And she said that was the first time she was coming there. It's just 5 minutes away from her home. She never knew that place existed. From Iva Valley, we started going to Pottery, then to camp, And when you reach there, the mammoth crowd population that is coming out from there is incredible. The stories are heartbreaking. And this same issue, I think it's just like I said, it's hydra-headed. There is need for reorientation because you're trying to solve somebody's problem and the person doesn't even realize that he's blocking the way for you to help them. So, case in point, a family of a widow, she's paralyzed, she has some other health issues. Her daughter, has a baby, teenage pregnancy, she's out of school, she's not doing any work. The son is doing some kind of menial job. Okay, how can we support you? At the end of the day, this boy started sending me messages. Hello, hi, love. Those kind of things. With DPs of, so I guess he's also wrongly influenced. Maybe he's doing Yahoo, I forgot who he was talking to. You cannot do it alone, even if you have $1 billion to invest. I'm also with the problem of Iva Valley or Pottery, and so many slums put together. Let's all maybe put our resources together, have a conversation where we can all plug in and then find a way to drag the government to make a commitment to solve some problems there. Thank you.
I think our problem is not even so much, it's the mindset. Because I believe that even if these people get money, they still will have the poverty mindset. Why do I say that? What they watch, what they see. She mentioned someone doing Yahoo. You get there, you see people who dress fine. You see people who look good, but they want to stay there because they are safer there. They will not, the police came around twice and you will not see them harass anybody. They will come, they are settled, all of them. They know the people smoking people. They know all these people. In fact, they will even bring people for them. So, if we want to change these things, I think we should, one, from a film person's perspective, let us change the narrative by changing what people see. Because if you go to if you go to TikTok, if you go to this, you see someone on TikTok saying how to get dollar, go and back inside this one, do this. There's a lot of information out there. So if we don't control the mindset, slums will continue to exist and continue. No matter how they transform that place, they will still not know how to take care of that place. Because it's not about building a house, fine. There are some persons who stay in beautiful houses, give them 2 weeks, you will not be able to stay inside the house with them. So I think we should try to work on the mindset. And like they said, the government is key. Public projects, from my knowledge, are usually very big financially and time-wise. If a public person or like an NGO tries to run it to track it takes a long time. But when the government is keen on saying that I will make sure that water goes everywhere, if it takes them 2 years, we are sure that this tenure has sorted out the water problem. The next tenure is coming up. But every day the government comes and goes and nothing is done. And it keeps getting worse because we have the internet and now they see it beautiful, they see us looking rich. That is why they will ask you to send them money. Because if they know that we too are going through the same thing, we don't have water even in any town, we still buy water, we still do this, they will understand that everybody is struggling to get this. There's no job, there's no system anywhere. So I think we should change the system from the mind and then to the populace. If you can do films that transforms the mind, I think, to me, it goes wider than what we're doing. It goes wider, it's cheaper, and it goes wider. Because if you say if you put 1 billion there, like she said, you won't do anything. But with something small, you have created a picture that people watch, and somebody would believe, and the transformation starts out there. So please, let's focus on mindset. That's my take there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
The Iva Valley we're talking about, yes, some people have already mentioned that there's an estate somewhere around there. In fact, estates are springing up every day. I watched when the girls, they were discussing, they were like, see this one that is just very close to us.
you. Golf estates.
Yeah. And they see these things every day, and nothing happens to them. We need to begin to hold our government accountable. If you want to do it alone, you cannot. That's just the truth. And we need to also begin to have the right conversation. Yes, we can point out the challenges, but what's the solution? Who is the representative representing that area? What is he doing? Who is the councillor? Who is the House of Assembly member representing that area? What's happening? Trust me, when you begin to shout out loud and the government decides to come in, the next few years, sometime ago, a group of persons from one slum here in Enugu, they just visited my office and they said they just came to register their displeasure. They were shouting at government, told them to move from their area. Government, what they are thinking is to demolish the area. And growing up here in Enugu, there were places I joined my parents as civil servants to go farm. Today, if I'm passing those areas, I'm seeing estates everywhere, beautiful houses. So you think they would come and fix this law? No, they would chase everyone out and build fine houses. That's it. But the persons who live in those slums, they are still the same people that in 2027 are going to attack you when you even say anything against the government. So what are we talking about? The system is failing everyone. And as a matter of fact, Nigeria today is just the rich and the poor. Where's the middle class? Because you might be looking at me, just like Malaika you just mentioned. Sometimes they come around and they hear your voice on the radio. Oh, Victor, this, that. And something like you're wrong. Because if they do you, you're wrong. Even sometimes when I hear beautiful stories like this, I meet some NGOs, I'm like, wow, we need to tell these stories. And I get them on my show. bring them to begin to talk about these things. I mean, I don't own the station. The next time they will begin to ask you, I mean, are these people not paying? Yes. Not be what they use money, the journey now. So when we're even talking about the herbal thing, we know these things, we know what happens. Go and ask most media people. It's one of the things. Okay, so we need to begin to have this conversation, and I think this is a beautiful forum. Okay, we can continue from here. We need to tell the story of people in urban area, in Ababa, in some of the places. Let's tell the stories, and if it's possible, work with radio stations. You can convert it to audio, create programs, create content, and put it out there. Let's know what's going on in the communities. We're busy talking about Tinubu. We're busy talking about things happening elsewhere. But around us, there are stories everywhere that we need to tell. Well, tell these stories. So I love what Kunie Foundation has done and is still doing. Kudos to you. Thank you.
Now, I don't know what Dara, as you know, before the first, her plan for next year. But what I want to point out is there is an opportunity for the NGO sector to look at people who are doing stuff like this, even like LinkCAF, to say how do we influence your theme for the year, because we want to highlight a problem. What can we make you do? Can you make children in primary school, they hold their arts competition for children? Can they paint things like water, something that has to do with water, something that has to do with food? Because that's their own way of highlighting. These exhibitions happen and people come from different parts of Nigeria, even outside, to view it. And if this discussion is not happening in a way that is sort of coordinated, it looks like everyone is just doing things, doing their own thing. So it has to be something that people need to find out. The NGO space to see, how do we connect to the creative space? How do we connect to the art? Even if it's just to say, whatever thing you're doing this year, how do we contribute to it? How do we get you to highlight this thing? We've talked about water now. Dara and I have been talking about doing a water exhibition. It's just simple. Let's trace the history of water in Enugu. From there, everybody can begin to see we used to have water up to some point. What happened? Because that's the whole point of these sort of events, the exhibitions, the literary festivals, the art festivals, to ask questions. And if we cannot, we are small in Enugu. We are not a big city like Lagos where we are so far from. So it's easy for us to come together and coordinate and say, as a group, as a group that wants to advocate for the best of this place that we live in and we call home. How do we highlight the problem? To the extent that if radio stations are carrying it, the newspapers are carrying it, it becomes why is everybody speaking about this one issue? And someone has to pay attention. So please, in the work you do, just find a way to connect with people who are doing things in the art space, in the literary creative sector. You will always find that your work aligns. You think of them as abstract. No, they actually do things that has to do with activism. Most of the works you see in photo festivals is literally activism that they do. But we have to find a way to link up so that it becomes more focused and direct.
Look at statistics of the unemployment rate in Nigeria. You don't want to look at statistics of violence against children. You don't want to look at statistics of gender-based violence. Any of them that you look at, you are going to be heartbroken because Nigeria is a problem to the rest of the world. Because we have the highest number of out-of-school children in the world, we have the highest number of, almost the highest number of child marriages in the world, female genital mutilation, and the rest of it. So there is a problem. And the truth is that if you take the statistics of the people here, 60% of them are about to leave the country. So there is a bigger problem, and that's a big problem. But what we can do is to continue the conversation, like everybody in the room has said. And that conversation should be strategic, because we should be able to mobilize the available resources and channel it to make the needed change. Mapping out the resources that is available. See, even if you bring out $1 billion that is not well applied, you're going to get the wrong result. If you bring out 10,000 naira that is well applied, you may get a better result than the $1 billion. And if you look at development, and I don't know why we didn't bring that's a mistake that we often do. The academia is always important. We have a full institute of development studies at UNEC here. We should always try to bring them on board because that is where the research is, and that is where the missing gap is between research and practice. We are not bringing them together. So I think we should continue the conversation, but a more strategic conversation that is geared towards. We had our government person come here, they have gone. Our government is too busy and the people they are serving.